So thank you all for attending. Thank you for giving up your Friday evening for this. Myself and Cass are really excited to show this to you. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Katie Gerrard. I run a business called Hide Mind, which does hypnotherapy and yoga. And I work a lot with past life regression. So myself and Cass have both had additional training within working with past lives, and it makes up now a chunk of the hypnotherapy work that I do. The other areas that I specialize in is I do a lot of work with phobias and habits. I work with those phobias and habits I tend to do on a one session basis. And it's the same with past life regression. You tend to have one session. And if people are really interested, they might come back again, but you tend to sort of find the answers you need in that one session. And then longer pieces of work I do, I also work with trauma, and I work with ancestral patterns and things like that as well. So that's me. And now I will pass on to Cass and let Cass introduce herself. So this is Cass.
Hi everyone, I'm Cass. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and a mindset coach. So yeah, like Katie, I'm also a hypnotherapist, and I help people with phobias and habits as well, and also limiting beliefs and belief reprogramming.
Excellent. So that's myself and Cass. And what are we doing today? So this session starts off with a brief introduction to past life regression and what it means and how it feels, and a very small amount of the theory behind it. So this is a very brief introduction. I have some blog posts that I've put up. So I've got an article on Hypnotherapy Directory and a blog post on Patheus, and I have a video that I explain further the whole concept of past lives in. So I'm going to keep the explanation brief today, and then after the initial talk I will take you through a past life meditation. So this will be a guided meditation rather than a hypnosis, and that will mean that it will feel slightly lighter for you. So it will feel like a path working or a meditation rather than hypnosis, but it will give you an introduction of what a past life memory will feel like, and the kind of beginnings of what a past life session might feel like for you. And then after we've all come back from that, I will basically take Cass much deeper into hypnosis, and I will demonstrate for you what a hypnosis session with past lives looks like. So you will see it filmed in front of you. So then at the end of that, you'll have an opportunity to just ask any questions you may have about the whole process. So I'm going to start straight away and start talking about what past life regression is. So there we go. Right, so past life regression basically is taking you in a hypnotic session. So under hypnosis, it takes you backwards into a past life memory or a series of past life memories. So the idea is that we subscribe to the belief that we can remember different versions of lives we've had in the past, and past life sessions tend to be human lives. We tend to remember lives that we've had previously as humans. So we will basically tend to talk to people through them. So we'll ask somebody what they're experiencing, what they're doing, and we'll have that two-way process. So that means that often somebody will choose to have their past life session recorded, so they're then able to play it back and listen to it again in the future. So past life regression is very, very similar to what is called in hypnosis age regression. And what we do with age regression is we basically take somebody back. So we ask their subconscious to take them to a memory from this life in age regression. And what we ask them to do is to be immersed in that memory, and then from that memory they can see anything that they see now that they'd forgotten, so they can recall that memory much clearer. But they can also help to process that memory with the information that they have in the current day. So by exploring a memory in a trance state, what we're doing is we're able to add healing, we're able to add understanding, and all of the hindsight we have from today to that memory. And that's exactly what we do when we do past life regression. So what we're doing is we're not only taking you back to a memory of the past, we're allowing you to then be able to add the hindsight that you have to hear into that memory, and also be able to add any healing that you need to while you're there. So a past life session can be really, really interesting, and it can be really fun. But there's a difference between sort of past life regression to just see what happens, and past life regression, which has more of a therapeutic aspect, which looks at specifics from adding information and processing to the events of the past. So what happens during a regression? Well, it will be very much like any kind of hypnosis. So you may find that you're in a slightly lighter trance, because that then helps you to be able to communicate with the hypnotherapist. But it will feel very much like, so we will take you into a very relaxed state. Your body will feel very relaxed. And it will feel very similar to, for example, when you've just finished having a massage, or when you've had a yoga session and you're lying down in meditation afterwards. So it will feel like that kind of thing, where you're really deep in thought, deep in relaxation, and therefore you're aware of what's around you, and you're aware of what's happening, and you could choose to sort of wake yourself up and get up, but you may find that you'd be a bit groggy if you tried to. And similarly, the point between wake and sleep, so where you're just starting to fall asleep and you know where you are and you're really deeply relaxed and you're just about to kind of go into that sleep, and you may be getting lots of deep thought, you may be starting to dream, but you're aware that you can choose to wake yourself up whenever you need to. But again, if you did, you might find that you'd be a bit groggy by doing that. So that's what hypnosis feels like. And different people experience different things during hypnosis, and it's the same during a regression session. We all experience things slightly differently. So some people will experience it like a very vivid dream. So for some people, they will be fully immersed in the memory, but it will always be a memory. It's never happening to the body, and the body doesn't believe it's happening in the time. It's always a memory. So you can be really immersed in that memory, and you can have all of your senses firing like a really vivid dream. Or you can have, you may be watching. So you may find that you're watching yourself, and watching yourself as part of that memory, almost like a film. Or you could, lots of people don't visualize, so they don't actually see pictures when they're in hypnosis or meditation, and they're experiencing via words, by hearing noises, by smell, by touch, by taste. So they're using their other senses. Some people during hypnosis don't experience any sensory information, but they have this sense of knowing. So information is just coming to them as they're going through the meditation. And for some people, they, particularly in a past life regression, they may think, I'm not in hypnosis, I'm not really experiencing anything. And then when you start asking them the questions, the subconscious is what's answering. So they may find that they're as surprised by what they're saying as the person conducting the regression is. So they may find that they're using different intonation, the information that's coming out is not what they would have said personally. They may sometimes even find that they're using a different accent. So we tend not to speak different languages. I've never done a past life regression where somebody's spoken a language that they don't speak. So, you know, we're still working from our own subconscious. And in the same way as, you know, you may speak 3 languages in real life, but if I'm asking you questions in English, you're usually responding in English. So it's exactly the same within a past life session. I've never known somebody to speak a different language. So, are you really remembering past life memories? Is this really what's happening? Well, I can't answer that for you because we just don't have enough information. We don't know enough about consciousness as a whole. We don't know what we call the soul and what that is. You know, psychology has come on leaps and bounds in the last 20 years even, but we don't really understand consciousness. We barely understand how memories are put down and how the brain stores information in the grey and white matter. So we definitely don't know if we've had past lives and what it feels like to die and be reborn, and if we can remember the womb and all of these things. You know, we just don't know. There's not enough information. And there is research on past lives, so you will be able to find research papers, but the research papers aren't proving anything. There's no kind of definitive, yes, this is what it is. So I have to basically give that question back to you all, and it has to be, you know, if you believe in past life memories and reincarnation, then I'm really happy for you too. If you don't believe, then equally I'm really happy for you. It's all of these spiritual questions are very similar. We just don't know. So I couldn't possibly tell you. But here are some theories about what's happening when you're going into a past life regression. So this is what might be happening. And obviously the first explanation is that the soul has many incarnations and that you're remembering past lives. So our subconscious basically remembers everything that we've experienced. It's constantly taking on information from everywhere. So if I was to work with you in hypnosis and I said, take me back to a specific day in a specific year, then your subconscious could bring out that day. But your conscious mind probably couldn't. It would only really be something that you'd be able to do in hypnosis. But there is also in hypnosis lots of false memory syndromes. So even if I took you into a day, if your subconscious couldn't remember it or thought that I wanted to find different information, and your subconscious was more focused on people pleasing than finding the right information, it still might give the wrong information. So you know, the subconscious is good, but sometimes we still get false memories within hypnosis. So, and part of those false memories comes from being led. So if I said to you, talk to me about January the 23rd, 2010, your subconscious would probably give the right information. If I said, talk to me about January 23rd, 2010, when it was snowing, but it wasn't snowing in your memory, your subconscious would try and find a day that it was snowing and might talk to me about that instead, because we've given it two different things to look for. So the subconscious is good, but it's not always as accurate. It's only as accurate as what we're asking. So if we believe that we have all the information that we have within our subconscious from this life, it's not that big a step to then also consider that we have all of that information from our past lives as well, if we believe in past lives. Another theory is that we're talking about present life memories. So the subconscious holds lots of information, and a lot of the things that we're told, particularly we were told in sort of the 70s, 80s and 90s, when past lives were really popular, we were told that this is information that this person could never have known. This person could never have known about this day. They didn't know it. They were not able to have that information. And actually, our subconscious holds information that we can never even dream we have. We start laying down memories from before we're verbal. So we have memories from sort of, 6 months old, sometimes even sort of 4 months old. So we're laying down memories all the time, and we're not paying attention to everything that's happening. So our conscious mind isn't always paying attention, but our subconscious mind is. So we may remember a conversation from a train that we weren't listening to. We may remember a radio show. We may remember in our subconscious a TV program we watched when we were 8 months old. So the information that's coming out from our past life memories could still be things we've learned in our current lives. So we cannot possibly know what we may or may not know. So the argument of I couldn't possibly have known that doesn't always fit. But that doesn't mean that the past life memory isn't real, but it can still be present life memories getting involved. Another theory is that we could be working with ancestral memories. So we really don't understand as much as we would like to about the way that energy is passed on, and the way that genetics and phobias and things are passed on down generations. So we could be accessing soul memories, or the memories of what happened to our ancestors. There's also the concept of Jung's unconscious and the collective unconscious, where all of these sort of subconscious of your whole society or your whole community becomes a collective unconscious. So you could be tapping into that collective unconscious, that collective knowledge. And the final theory put forward as to what this may be and what may be happening is working with metaphor and the brain telling stories. So the subconscious absolutely loves working in metaphor. All of the dreams we have are often metaphorical. They're often stories that mean something else, that represent something else. The brain absolutely loves to use storytelling to make sense of what's happening in the here and now. So even when we work with particularly trauma in hypnosis, working with metaphor and working with stories and narrative is a really good way of doing that without having to access that trauma memory. So if the brain wants to work and the subconscious wants to work by telling stories, then that's a wonderful way to process information and to find information. So we've told stories and parables and narrative conversations for so many, you know, centuries back, that the subconscious is really, really good at that. So it could be that our brain is trying to make sense and process current problems through stories, and these stories are of past lives because we've asked it to talk about past lives. So things to think about when you're booking past life regressions. So when you're talking to somebody who does past life regression, it's really worth finding out what their training has been and what their belief system is around hypnosis and false memories and things like that. So when you look at the examples, so if you look on YouTube at some of the examples of past life regression, and Brian Weiss was an absolute classic for doing this, it's really clear that the hypnotist is leading that patient, that client. It's really clear that they're asking them questions which lead them a certain way. And the whole point of hypnosis is to be led. The whole point of this visualization is for us to show you and lead you. You can hear the waves, you can see the sea. So that's the entire point of it. It's designed to be leading. It's designed to take you and your subconscious into a specific place. So hypnosis completely leads, and when we're doing past life regression and age regression, we need to be really, really sure that we're not leading. So we need to be very careful how we say things. So for example, if I take you into a past life regression and I say to you, what does your house look like? And you tell me your subconscious is looking for a house. So it's exactly the same way as the snow on January the 23rd. Your subconscious is looking for a house and it will find a house. Similarly, if I say, what are you wearing? You're automatically wearing clothes. If I say, what dress are you wearing? You're thinking of a dress. So we can also, when we're looking at doing past life regressions, we can also accidentally add information. So if you say to me, oh, I'm in a big hall, and I say, you know, what's the carpet like? Your subconscious has added carpet. But I can also add emotions. So if I want to have a really dramatic thing and I want to see, I can ask you, are you feeling scared? You will instantly look for the fear. If I ask you to find a happy day, you will instantly look for the happy. So whatever we do within a past life regression, we are leading, but we need to be very careful about how we do that and that we're not putting pictures in your mind, because memories are changeable. So once that memory is there, it will stay there and that will keep being your belief. So when you're talking to people who do past life regressions, ask them about leading, ask them about how they make sure that they're not adding information to you or creating emotions that weren't there. Okay, so Cass, if you take a deep breath, and Cass, I'm going to ask you now, and only you, to go into hypnosis. I'm going to ask you and only you to take that step, that mental step into trance that you know so well. I'm going to ask you now to descend the labyrinth and go into that beautiful state of trance, to feel that deepening and to take you back down into that beautiful rose, down that long stem, smelling that freshness of the rose. I'm going to ask you to find yourself in that corridor, taking those steps one by one. Cass, are you in the corridor?
Yes.
Cass, do you see doors ahead of you?
Yes.
Is there a door you're drawn to already?
The red one.
Do you wish to go through? On the count of 3, Cass, you will be behind the red door. Are you ready? 1, 2, and 3. Behind that door, stepping into that memory, smelling the smells, feeling the energy, hearing the noise, seeing the pictures. What are you experiencing?
It's dark. And it feels like a mine. Like a coal mine. And there's people around me working.
What are those people like?
Focused.
Do you know them?
It's like they don't know I'm there.
Do you recognize any of them?
There's dirt on their faces. It's hard to tell.
And think about yourself now. What do you know about yourself?
I feel quite tall. I'm feeling male energy.
And what do people call you?
I'm not sure. Feels like an author.
And can you think about what this mine means to you?
Feels like I'm running it. Like I'm in charge of the mine.
And how do you feel about that?
Important. Rich.
And where is the mine?
It's not in England. Not sure, maybe America somewhere.
And what's happening in the world at the moment?
Oh, there's not a lot of human rights. They haven't really been established yet.
And who are the important people in your life?
Doesn't feel like I've got an extension. Feels like I live a solitary life. Like this is what's important to me.
And why is it important to you?
My definition of success.
And what are you learning from this memory? What will you bring back with you?
My definition of success is completely different.
Cass, I'm going to bring you out of this room now and back into the corridor. So on the count of 3, you'll be back in the corridor. 1, 2, and 3. Back in that corridor. We're going to look behind another door now. Start walking. Is there anything in particular you'd like to explore?
Yeah, ancient Egypt.
Okay. Is there a door that represents Egypt?
The blue door.
Are you outside it? On the count of 3, you will be through the door and experiencing that memory. Are you ready? 1, 2, and 3. Through the door, experiencing. Starting with smell, and then sound, and then energy and feeling and pictures. What are you experiencing?
Weather.
What is the weather like?
It's really hot. There's not many people around.
People who are around, what are they like?
Most people look the same.
How do they look the same?
Dressed similar.
And how are they dressed?
Robes. White robes. Barefoot.
Focusing now on yourself. What do you know about you?
Feels like I'm lower class of society.
And what do people call you?
And
And what's important to you?
collecting fresh water.
And where is the fresh water?
Quite far away.
And how do you get to it?
Walking on foot.
And why is it important to find fresh water?
And to deliver it to some important people.
And what can you learn from this memory?
How much things have changed.
And what will that mean to you?
And gratitude.
Kath, I'm going to bring you back out of this memory and back into the corridor. So on the count of 3, you'll be back through that door in the corridor. 1, 2, and 3 in the corridor. Do you wish to explore another door? No. Cass, I'm going to bring you back now. And I'm going to do this by counting from 1 up to 5. And with every number, you will feel more and more reorientated, so that on the count of 5, your eyes will be fully open and you will feel fully alert and contented and fully awake and ready to continue your day. Feeling completely rested and rejuvenated. 1. Slowly, calmly, easily and gently returning to your full awareness. 2. Feeling completely rested and refreshed and ready to continue your day. 3. All of the cues that you've been given for this being removed now, so that you're completely as you were before you started this Zoom call. 4. Your eyes feeling sparkling clear and fresh. And 5. Eyes wide open, fully aware and feeling wonderful. So, how are you feeling?
That was crazy. I feel fine. Yeah, it's just amazing how I was able to embody those energies and almost feel like I was those people. And I felt, especially the second door, the blue door in Egypt, I felt the pain of what she had to go through. You know, the kind of hard life that this person had. And yeah, that felt really like, yeah, that hurt me a bit as well. And as opposed to the first door, the red door, I felt how empowered he felt, and I could feel how big his ego was, him watching over these workers, and then going into the other one was just two completely different. That was very overwhelming.
The two different parts of the experience, the two almost complete opposites. And what do you feel you learn from seeing the two things together?
It's really hard to say. I mean, overall, it's really hard to say. The first one, I felt how things have changed over time to, you know, life as we know it now. And just feeling a sense of gratitude. That's what I felt for like my life in particular. Yeah, it's just so weird. It just felt so familiar. I could really familiarize myself with those energies. And yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be that deep.
It's interesting how deep it can be, even with kind of everyone watching as well. So I'm going to take you off of the spotlight now and bring everybody else back into the place, the space.